graciously, Adam is back, second time within a week, and we are going to talk about episode 8 of Star Trek Strange, air quotes, Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And this episode is called Under the Cloak of War, directed by Jeffrey W. Bird. I think he's been on before, I'm not sure. And written by one writer called Davy Perez. Do you, by any chance, know who Davy Perez is?
Actually, the name sounds familiar, but I couldn't tell you, to be honest, but it does sound familiar. He
has written, this will be his 4th episode of Star Trek. He's written from season 1, Memento Mori, and All Those Who Wander. Do you remember those 2 episodes?
Vaguely. Did remind me.
Memento Mori is when they fight the Gorn.
Okay.
The 4th episode. And the episode 9 that he wrote is when Hemmer dies.
Okay.
And in season 2, he wrote Among the Lotus Eaters, the one where they have the memory problems on the planet.
Yeah.
And then this one. And I just want to say that out of you know how I say like Strange New World is the best of New Trek, even though it's not as good, still not as good as classic Trek. I would say Davy Perez is probably the best writer out of all of the bad writers for this show.
Okay. Brilliant.
So yeah, he's responsible for this episode as well. And basically, let's just get into it. First thoughts, dude.
I get what they're going for with this one. It was like a war. It was interesting to see like a war type scenario on the ground at the surface of a planet rather than just in space. That was a different take in a Star Trek sort of episode. I've not seen too much of that, I guess. And it felt like a bit of a cross between. I got vibes of the start of like Terminator, like the futuristic planet of Earth, the lasers and stuff happening, and obviously the mixing in with like a classic wartime era film like Saving Private Ryan and stuff like that. I got those sort of things like blended together. You get what this episode showcasing at the start. That's what I felt anyway. I didn't like the characterizations of like Mbenga and Chapel. Like they couldn't be professional when this diplomat came on the ship. They just couldn't be professional. It was just like they're still torn up about stuff, and I get it. I get there's trauma and stuff like that. But if that's the case, and like if Pike knows this, it's like, well, don't come to these meetings and don't interact with this diplomat that's coming on the ship. If he knows this and they know this, keep them out of it. If you can't handle it, if there's too much trauma there, they can't handle things like that, then don't be in those situations where they've got to go to dinner in like Pike's quarters and stuff like that. It's just a recipe for disaster, and that should have been the first thing that came to mind. And then Ortega's as well, because she's also been apparently in this war type situation. She had to open for Gob and like be unprofessional on the bridge, and it's like, and then he comes walking onto the bridge, and then obviously overhears her ranting about him. Be professional. Again, this is not the first instance where we've seen these characters not be professional, and they just talk and they just spew out their diarrhea wherever they are, and it's just like, calm the hell down. Like, act like an adult. Stop acting like a petulant child, like screaming your obscenities and your dialogue all over the place. Like, just speak like a normal human being. And they just got to be, and they're so angry about it. I get it, it's like it's a war thing. It's like a Klingon war that they were in. This guy is like coming on to be a diplomatic sort of thing for like Federation. Swallow all your hate and your pride and stuff, and just be professional and get on with your job. Like, shut the hell up. Guys, you're going to cost talks between peace talks and stuff like that. It's a very delicate situation. And they're like spouting off like little children. It's like, calm down, shut up. I just felt like that straight away. Like I was getting annoyed watching the episode. I was like, don't be in the room then. Go away. The overall episode was okay. It wasn't too bad. It had a serious tone to it. But I don't know. It just felt a bit like it was like a wartime episode, and like they're on the surface of the planet. And I was like, how viable is this going to be? Like, they'd surely get wiped out. Like a camp of like Federation people would just get wiped out by a passing on ship or something that would see and just wipe them out from the orbit of the space or something. It just I don't know. There's many aspects where I was just thinking like, how is that possible? I know what they're going for, wartime era sort of feels and vibes, but at the same time, is it practical? Is it practical to have ground forces where a ship could just see them go? Yeah, that's what I felt anyway about this episode. And it was okay. And Becca did a good job. By the way, that guy's like shredded, but other than that, and then he kills him in the end as well, which is like, what the fuck? So, and then he gets in no trouble, gets in zero trouble. So I was like, of course, because why would he?
I wasn't expecting you to be so critical, actually. My first thoughts were one of confusion, because I didn't know if this was a good episode or not. I couldn't tell after all the failures of the other episodes that just went nowhere. All of a sudden, they just dropped down with us. drop down onto us this really serious episode, which is kind of ambiguous. The episode is trying to say, did he kill him? Did he not kill him? And supposedly it's a better episode now because you can debate it. And it's like, no, I don't really want to debate it. I kind of know what the answer is. I wasn't, again, I was just confused. And so when I watched it all in one go, it kept my attention this time. And then I looked online and other people were saying, this is actually a really good episode. And it reminds them of the Dominion War. And so when you talk about references, other people are referencing other Star Trek. It reminds them of In the Pale Moonlight, which I don't think so whatsoever, because there's nothing ambiguous about In the Pale Moonlight for the ending. Cisco is trying to live with the decision that he committed to. The episode is also, if you watch it carefully, like his performance where he's trying to tell himself he can live with it, you're like, damn, maybe he's lying and he can't really live with it. But it has no bearing on the rest of season 6 or 7. Clearly he does live with it. The show explains it. So there's no ambiguity there. If other people are saying, yeah, there is ambiguity, if you just take the episode by itself, but you can't because it's serialized. So I liked it, but I was massively confused by it. And I thought it tried too hard to hit some notes that makes a Star Trek episode. And that could seem contradictory, but if you can basically fake it. You could fake your way through this by referencing other Star Trek, and you haven't really thought it all the way through. But to go back on something that you said, you mentioned how people are unprofessional, and I totally agree. That bridge, the size of the Enterprise's bridge, certainly shrank down when the ambassador came on board and Ortegas is in the ship for it. The unprofessionalism that you're speaking of, you have to go back to an episode from TNG season 4, The Wounded, and it's about this Starfleet captain who goes to Cardassian space, and starts destroying ships. And it used to be Miles O'Brien's senior officer or commanding officer, and O'Brien doesn't like Cardassians, which is also plays out kind of in DS9.
If Captain Picard orders me to tell you everything I know about Ben Maxwell, I will. But who I choose to spend my free time with, that's my business.
But he says, listen, if my captain says do something, I'm going to do it, but I don't have to share a drink with you. Do you remember this scene? Because they invite him to 10 forward. Okay, so there's none of that, and we've got this point of comparison with this character that was in a conflict situation with another alien species. But for the rest of his career in Starfleet that we see on screen, he's always been objective. Yet you've got 3 characters here that can't be objective. So part of me says, well, the war is fresh, so emotions are still high, but at the same time, you're supposed to be professional Starfleet officers, and you've got to let this shit go.
But the fighting's over now. Why should anyone still feel however they feel?
You fought the Cardassians, didn't you?
Well, there were some skirmishes when I was with Captain Maxwell.
Well, how do you feel about them?
Me? I feel fine. I mean, the war's over now.
It doesn't help, again, this is your other point, it doesn't help that fucking Pike is like, come to dinner with the guy that you tried to kill. Come to dinner where you just saw the brutal massacre of women and children. And let's quaff wine and swap platitudes.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That felt like a bit like one, out of character, and 2, like it's just the show of game. Well, we can shoehorn this in now. It's the way of the show going. Well, we've got to get all these characters in a room, and it's just like a bit like, well, I know what you're doing now. I know what you're trying to do. You don't have to do it. Like this decision could have been like, no, we're gonna have a private between officers and the
Ra's al Ghul,
Dakra or something, Dakra diplomat, and it's just like, just have the senior officers have a meal with him in Pike's, quarters. It didn't have to be like every single key aspect of your crew, especially ones that have been involved directly in the Klingon War on like ground level and seeing horrific sights and people and mutilated bodies and stuff like that. Also, is Mbenga, is Mbenga like, is he like some sort of special ops bloody doctor or something? Like it's like these guys are referring to him like he's like, you can take people out. I know what your skills are. It's like, what is he like, Rambo? What is going on with this guy?
Well, he's just... the episode does establish that he was doing something on that planet before Chapel arrives. So he's got a special set of skills. And he also created that formula that the Andorian guy wants, which is set up in episode 1 of this season. So he's been doing some things that are kind of ambiguous anyway. He's created the Hulk serum, and he's a killer, and he's a doctor. It seems a bit of a cliche where you've got some character that's done a lot of killing becomes a priest or a doctor, and they flip 180 degrees on what they were doing before.
Yeah, it's dead odd. Very, very strange character. He seems really good, and then at the same time, I'm like, some split personality thing here.
Yeah. I said Ra's al Ghul before as a joke, but the guy who played Dakral, so you're right in his pronunciation, Dakra, sorry, he was actually in The Dark Knight Rises, which is all about Ra's al Ghul, because he creates Bane, doesn't he? He was just some army officer, army captain on a bridge. That's what, he wasn't a big part in it. I
quite liked him as the character, as the Klingon diplomat. I quite liked
that
him.
Was my that was my question. You did like how he was acting as a Klingon?
Yeah, you could probably get Klingons that are like probably not the typical I just do war and battle and stuff like that. If he's a diplomatic sort of Klingon side, I could get the point where he'd be a bit. Everyone's different. There's different characteristics in everybody. So to have like the Klingons just be one-dimensional in case of like we're just war types, war things, then it's like there's going to be different ones, different versions of Klingons out there. So it felt like he was a warmonger at some point in his life. And now he's probably had this change of heart, and he's now going into a diplomat sort of role, and he's trying to have redemption in some sort of way. So I could see that side, I guess, and he's very charismatic as well, which I guess isn't the normal characteristics for Klingon. But like I said, it was I don't know, a little bit refreshing to see a different Klingon rather than the shouty "I'm a warrior and I just want blood" sort of character. I know that goes against the vein of what Klingon should be, but
no, it goes against what I'm going to say.
Okay.
So the Klingons are basically probably at their height until they make peace in about 20 or 30 years when Star Trek 6 rolls around. And then after that, they have to make peace with the Federation. And there is some antagonism within the Empire in TNG and it plays out in DS9 where they feel like they've gone soft. You're presented with softer characters in those two other series, but you also get some really hard-edged Klingons, like Kern, for example, Worf's brother, when he turns up and he's growling and everything. And to see this kind of Klingon who's very much taking on like this, not stoic, I keep saying that, but we keep referring to that, but some kind of Buddhist person who's at peace with himself for the things that he's done. I didn't buy that. And at the same time, the characters are telling us that he's not genuine. And yet all I see is him being genuine. There's no hint of him faking it right up to the end. Yeah. It's just that M'Benga is upset with him for what he did, which is totally understandable. So the show, TV show, shows us through M'Benga's actions that Dakra is doing nasty things on this planet, but they tell us that he's lying, but they also show us that he's just having conversation. I'm really weirded out by the fact that M'Benga is, or we're supposed to be freaked out with M'Benga just because the guy's having a conversation, and Pike's attitude doesn't factor into it at all. He's the one who's had the most experience with him. Screen time, and I would assume giving him a tour and everything. So the more time you spend with somebody, you usually are better at sussing out their bullshit, and none of that is taken into account. Pike is effectively a nothing entity here. So again, this is what confused me. The characterization seems off, and it seems deliberate so that you get to the ending, but then the ending is ambiguous and you don't see it. And then part of me is like, well, I don't actually care. This show doesn't make me really care about the characters. It's so weird. And I'm not sure I want to spend any more time figuring it out.
Well, there's no consequence either. So it's just like, oh, well, that's what I mean. There's no consequence. So the show ends. It ends clean and wrapped up and, like you say, ambiguous. Did he kill him? Did he not? And then it's just like, but either way, there's no consequence. So we just move on. And then the next episode, we're moving on to a goddamn musical. So there's just literally no payoff, or there's no resolution to this at all. It's just like, oh, well, those events happened. Let's move on. And it's just like, what? It's in the grand scheme of things, in the wider picture, there's nothing's happened.
But you know this has happened twice now, because M'Benga's daughter was a thing, and then a Nebula just took her away. That's it. That could have been an interesting arc through 2 or 3 seasons of the show. And then this happens that is set up in the first episode. Parts of it is hate for Klingons. And like you say, there's, if anything, I think he did do it. I think M'Benga fucking murked him big time and just pretended.
I think so.
But then But then the dialogue that you only hear, I mean, of course you can hear dialogue, but you can't see it because it's behind the frosted glass. He's speaking in a very cool, calm, collected way, but there's no one else in there except for Chapel. So he could have just killed him, which I think he did. There's no more discussion to it. But
Yeah.
I think the Klingon is just really earnest, and M'Benga could have just left instead of saying get out, get out. But then why open the cage? Why open the box? Why have the duck tongue in there? Needlessly ambiguous.
Yeah.
Ambiguous, sorry.
And I'm like you. I just feel like the episode was better and it was a bit more like compos mentisly written. But
What's that word? Competently.
sorry,
Okay.
competently. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what I'm thinking. I don't know what I'm saying right now. But
Okay.
yeah, it's just there's no consequences. There's no overall effects that are going to be lasting. That are going to be affecting any other episodes. There's just a one and done sort of thing.
Yeah.
Unless they reference it again in something else, which I wouldn't put it past this show. It's just there's no consequences for anything they do. Look, they've blown up a big resource facility recently, and now they've killed this Klingon diplomat, and we're coming past fresh wounds of war and stuff like that. And there's no consequences. This ship and its crew just do whatever the fuck they want, and there's nothing happens. That Starfleet aren't getting involved. They're not like, hey, what the hell are you guys doing out here? Like, there's no repercussions for any of it.
Yeah.
And it's just a bit, what am I watching it for? Like, how are these characters going to develop? How there's got to be consequences. There's got to be motivations for these characters, not just like, I don't know, man. It's very strange. It's a very strange episode, this one today.
Yeah. I mean, I appreciate the fact that it tried to do something serious finally on this show, and it tried to have something of a meaty, discussion-worthy episode where there's consequences to living in this universe. I appreciate all of that, but I just don't think it sort of nips everything in the bud properly. Puts a bow on everything, so that you could really sort of say, wow, episode 8 was a standout episode. It's probably the only decent episode of the season. You could almost say that. It's just not quite there, and part of it is the Klingon's performance, because he plays it so earnestly, and then you've got the contrived backstory that has now been created, and then M'Benga's turn, where I just don't think it's that ambiguous. He just
no, and it's just like in the end, like they're having the dinners, and at Pike's quarters, and none of them can shut up. They're just there, like he's gripping the chair, and I'm like, okay, chill the hell out. What are you doing? Just over dramatic,
right. Yes,
over dramatic stuff. It's like gripping the chair. I'm like, calm down.
Sitting with the staff this morning, I could tell there were people in that room who still don't like the Cardassians.
I imagine that's to be expected.
You do?
Sure, the war lasted a long time. That takes its toll on people. What are these little dark things?
Capers.
And then she's like getting wound up, Chapel. Then what's her name? Ortega's is like biting at the bit to say something. And it's just like, Christ, just eat your food, shut up, and just get through this for like, what, probably 40 minutes to an hour for like a meal. Just shut up. All you've got to do is that. You're a diplomatic like an exploring vessel hosting a diplomat coming on after a fresh war that's just happened. Chill the F out. Be professional. Can't happen because the show demands that we've got to have some drama in this meal, and that's why they put all these characters in a room and gone, oh, they're going to say something. And there's too much tension. It just feels forced in ways.
What did you think about the part of the episode on the planet though, and the story there?
I thought it was nice. It was good to do something different. It was good to like see different scenes like that. Like I say, I've never seen much of a Star Trek in terms of like the wars and stuff like that, where it's on the planet surface on a ground level. It's always been like space battles and stuff. So it was fresh to see that, and it was interesting to see it. But then again, like as an average normal viewer, I'm just looking at little things and I'm watching, and I'm like, well, couldn't they just get wiped out from the planet's surface? Do they have shields above these camps or whatever? Is that how it works? Or I don't know. And then like storing injured people in the transporters, like he did. I think a reference to like storing his daughter in the transporter. And I'm like, how many people can you do that with? How many? Is there an unlimited amount you can shove people in a transporter? So all these questions are going through my head while these scenes are playing out, and I don't know. I'm trying to like watch it for what it is, but then obviously all these questions popping in my head, like, well, how's that and why is that? And I'm just figuring out in the writers' room, are these questions not being asked also? Because we're all human beings and we all have these thoughts. And I'm like, well, is nobody asking this? Like, how is there not a big spaceship or a starship seeing them on the surface and blowing them up? How it's not like shuttles just skimming through the planets and then just shooting them, just picking them off. They surely must know where they are. Like
there is in Star Trek things called transporter scramblers, so that you prevent beaming. But with regards to the fact, you could have like a random starship just do an orbital bombardment, just kind of negate the whole point of having a base. But if you have to go back to season 7 episode of Deep Space Nine called "The Siege of AR-558," and that is a Dominion War episode where it's planet based, and Captain Sisko has to reinforce this base on the planet. But they actually thought about it, where they said to show it up front, there's this piece of equipment that the Dominion do not want to destroy, and they want to get it back. And above them, there are Dominion ships, but they can't do an orbital bombardment. It's why the Defiant leaves, because there's too many ships. So basically, they have a land battle. So they actually thought about it in that sense. So you wouldn't probably have the same issue. But here, yes, what's stopping them from doing an orbital bombardment? Why have we never seen this transporter trick before? Why is it just Mbenga, for example? You never see it ever again, if you believe it's canon. Unless Scotty does it. Scotty created it in the episode where they find Scotty. Do you remember? I think it's like season 6. They find this big metal Dyson sphere, and the Enterprise gets trapped inside it, and they've got to use his crashed ship to wedge open the door so the Enterprise can get out.
Right,
okay. So it was sort of like, whoa, that's a big deal that Scotty invented that. But you also like, Scotty invented that because it's Scotty. And Benga's doing it casually, which then sets up the whole idea that how can his daughter survive? I like the Andorian Special Forces unit. Andorians are warriors also. But the difference between an Andorian and a Klingon is that an Andorian needs a purpose to fight. They need a valid reason because they are warlike, but they have this not higher or a different code of conduct when it comes to fighting. Right, but they're already in a war. So he's already at it. Did you notice that one of the Howard brothers was in this episode? Clint Howard, the brother of the famous director of the other Howard. Howard, he did Ballerina Man. He did Solo, the Star Wars Han Solo Star Wars story. He directed some big movies, but Clint Howard has been in TOS, Enterprise.
We must drink. This is Tranya. I hope you relish it as much as I.
And now this. You didn't notice that?
No.
He's the one who introduces everything to Chapel.
Oh, okay. Oh, wait. Yes, I know what you mean now. Yes, I thought I recognized him. I wasn't too sure I've already seen him before, but I recognized him. Yeah, definitely.
Austin Powers as well, when they're going, Johnson, it's a giant dick. Look at this.
Yeah, I remember now. I know him from. I knew his face from somewhere, and I was like, I'm gonna look him up. But I forgot. But yeah.
Do you have anything else to say, or are you just frustrated and about it?
It was an overall okay episode. I like the serious, a bit more of a serious tone, which is cool because this season's been all over the place. I like the fact we didn't see Spock too much because they're just destroying that character. I don't know why they're bastardizing it completely every episode we see him in. I really hate their relationship, the Chapel and him. That needs to end because it's just an absolute disaster. I wouldn't be surprised actually if she dies in this season, just to create that sort of Chapel.
She can't.
Can't?
No, she can't because she's in TOS.
Okay.
The only ones who can die are probably Ortega's, the Pelia, number 1, and Pike. Well, we know what's going to happen to him, possibly, which they haven't focused on at all this season.
I think they're trying to move away from that. I don't think they're really focusing on it.
I think they'll leave it for this season because they've left him behind this season.
He's felt very absent in a lot of the episodes actually, and that's your biggest. I feel like he's your biggest star. They seem to be sort of leaving him behind a little bit, which is strange. In strange new worlds.
Yeah, especially with the addition of Kirk.
Yeah. And again, though, the new season, there's just been they rarely travel to any planets, and it's beginning to really grate on me because the show, it's the namesake of the show. It's like, come on, guys, explore, please, for the love of God. And it seems a lot of the episodes are based on the actual ship.
Think about episode 1, season 1. They went to a new planet. They went to quite a few. Then you had the Children of the Comet. Keep mentioning that one. They had the Gorn episode where they're finding out about the Gorn for the first time. There's 3 off the top of my head.
I like that one where he visited the planet and he was familiar with that woman, and then the ship was orbiting the planet and he was like, I've got the bigger stone or whatever. Do you know what I mean? Sort of that was good. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I like the interactions of like themselves. They don't get interfere with like these smaller planets that aren't, advanced enough. And it's like having that sort of situation, that reactionary situation where it's like, do we get involved in a planet's dispute or whatever like that? Those sort of episodes are really cool to me. I like that sort of because it's like it's proper sci-fi and it's like,
Yeah.
what would happen if? What would happen if this? And it's part of the exploration of going on the ship like the Enterprise. It's like that's what most of the Enterprise was about, going to different planets and interacting with different alien races. And we're getting barely any of that in this.
Right. Now, I've got a YouTube comment to share with you, another one,
Okay.
but this time it's from someone who isn't a fan of what we're doing.
Okay.
So we got some hate. Give this person some attention. This person replies, "Always, I'm going to leave the grammatical errors in, by the way. So if it doesn't make sense, that's just because of his writing." By Prestige Multimedia Group 6436. Always amazes me when people who aren't fans of a thing think they get to review and talk shit about it. JS.
Wow.
JS I think means just saying, which is kind of redundant because you type it. I don't know why. Is that a way to excuse what you're saying? I'm not going to get offended by a comment on my YouTube channel. It's weird. It's like you can't talk about it because you're not fans. But yeah, but we are fans, and this is trying to pass itself off as Star Trek. That's the thing.
Yeah.
Don't you realize that it's a wolf in sheep's clothing?
And the thing is, though, if you've been watching us for a while, I've always said that like you're like probably more knowledgeable in Star Trek lore and stuff like that because you're a bigger fan, and I'm like more of a casual viewer. We've been completely transparent about that. Completely. So this guy's comment is just like null and void. I'm like, what are you on about? And plus, it didn't make any sense.
It's as though they didn't actually watch the video. I don't know about you, but as an aside, if I want to criticize something, I should try and understand what it is before I'm criticizing it. And yet there are dunderheads out there who think, yeah, but if you don't like it, then you shouldn't watch it. And then I guess, therefore, you don't get to share your opinion, or you shouldn't share your opinion. Somehow it's a way of shutting you down. But it just illustrates their ignorance and maybe how they react to things. So if they don't like something, they just leave it alone. But then they don't understand it.
Yeah.
You've got to watch it or
hate
watch it. But I don't hate watch. I just watch it to see, hopefully, that it is actually good. And if it isn't, then I get to tell you why it's not good. Because we've got a point of comparison.
We're watching this because we're fans of science fiction. We're fans of Star Trek. And I want this to be good. I liked season 1.
You do?
I want this to be good. Yeah, I do. I liked it. I'm disappointed with this so far. I'm gutted that it's turning out the way it is at the minute. I'm like, for God's sake, we have a really promising start. And now it's tailing off into something that I don't recognize from what season 1 brought you. And I'm like, come on, guys, what the hell are we doing?
Yeah.
And it's sad.
By the way, what I mean is you hope it's good. It's because you're more of a casual, so you'll enjoy it. Whereas I think about it in terms of, like Picard, everyone says, oh, Picard season 3 is really good. It's like, yeah, but it's attached to 2 shitty seasons. So you can't just isolate that and say, this bit's Star Trek and this bit isn't Star Trek. And so this bit is decent to sit with classic Trek. It's like, no, it's not, none of it's valid. And it wasn't I don't think it's very good anyway, as a point of principle, before you even get me to say it's the best. Yeah, okay, it's the best out of the 3 seasons, sure, but it doesn't mean it's as good as classic Trek. Should we go into ratings? We've got 6 minutes left.
Yeah, let's go.
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah.
I'm ready for you now. I was going to give this a 4, but talking to you, and that would mean if I gave it a 4, it would be the same as Among the Lotus Eaters. Actually, I will give it a 4, if only because it tried. And Davy Perez, his episodes are actually probably my favorite episodes, because I always talk about the Gorn episode from season 1 as a standout episode. If you just ignore the canon violation, it's still a good episode. So yeah, okay, I was gonna waver a bit and go to 3, but no, 4. Acting is good and Benga is ripped. The war thing is interesting. So there's some little things where they're fleshing out the universe finally. But okay, so yeah, that's my score, 4.
Okay. Well, this is where we're going to agree because I'm actually giving it a 4 as well. Yeah, I'm saying this is the first time probably. First time ever we've agreed on a scoring. But the thing is that puts it down for me. The thing is, it's just the characters acting like the way they are. You know, I'm just like I said at the start, I'm just like I was getting annoyed watching them, like the reactions and their stuff like that. And I'm like, you can't just like bite your lip and just be a professional and get on with it. You're meant to be Starfleet officers and you're going to be probably having this interaction with this guy for like a day, if that, on the ship. And it's you
Yeah.
can't even like hold it together. And then you've just got scenes with Benga, and he does do a really good job of his in his scenes. But then the scenes of him like having a meal in Pike's room, and he's like gripping the chairs, and I'm just like, oh, for God's sake! And then building up to this tension for no reason, and they all just have like a little outburst at the diplomat guy, and it's just like, okay. And so that it brings it down a little bit to that. That's why I'm marking it a 4, because visually on the planet surface looked pretty good. Gave me those, like I said, those vibes of like the futuristic Earth of Star Trek. I miss Star Trek. Terminator Judgment Day and like Saving Private Ryan, and like a mixture of sort of wartime and science fiction. And if we had more of that in these shows, or anything more of a serious tone, it might actually be overall a decent season. But they keep going to the jokes, and they keep going to the non-serious tone, and sometimes there isn't anything wrong with that, but when you're consistently doing it episode after episode, it gets a little boring and a little bit repetitive. And like I say, it gives the overall effect of my scoring with the review of the show these mediocre scores, where they should be rated a lot higher, really, but they haven't given me anything to sort of rave about. And they just keep, I don't know, the gender politics is all over the place in this season so far. And again, just the bastardization of like Spock, making him look like a complete idiot all the time, every chance to get. And so, yeah, anyway, I'm ranting on, and the score's just a 4 for this episode.
Fair enough. At least we both see where it could have been better. I will tell you something. It is easy to create, even for half an episode, a believable world, semi-believable world, full of conflict. I think the special effects we take for granted now, and they can just put it in there in this episode. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the production values seem to be getting cheaper, but the writers seem to be getting lazier, except for Davey. I think Davey's trying his best.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
rub one out for Davey, I guess.
And we've got how many episodes left? Like 3, is it, or 2?
2. Yeah.
And one of them is going to be the musical episode. Ah, Jesus, this is not something to look forward to.
Did you watch the Buffy episode? Yeah.
I'm gonna plan to watch it before that comes out. Yeah.
For those that don't know,
Yeah.
Adam's going to watch the Buffy musical episode as a point of comparison, I guess, in terms of production values and the value of it overall.
Yeah, and overall,
Yeah.
just the way it sort of, will it be organic enough to sort of pull it off? Well, I've already seen the trailer on this. I've got it open my computer right now. This is on Strange New Worlds like IMDb website, and it keeps playing the trailer for like the next episode, and I'm like looking at it going, oh, it looks terrible.